Last time we left off after having created a sill plate, header joists, and a center beam for our floor platform. Today we're going to be adding the actual floor joists. If we go back to our Google Classroom document, we see that the floor joists are the 2x10 lumber. So we're going to go to our lumber document and pick up our 2x10, edit copy, go to our foundation and floor platform document, edit paste, and again we're going to have to put this at a 90-degree angle. So I'm going to put it up high and zoom in a little bit, orbit, catch the end of it, use my rotate tool. I want to put my rotate tool on the edge here. So here, click in the center, click out into space, begin to turn, type in 90, enter. And I'm also going to need to make this orbit or rotate the other direction as well. So I'm going to click here and click out into space and start to turn. And again type in 90. Now, floor joists need to be positioned a certain distance apart in order to support the floor firmly. And they're positioned 16 inches apart, OC, which is on center. So if we look at the top of this joist here, we want the center of this joist, right there, to be 16 inches away from the center of the previous joist. So let's move this over here. And we want to make sure we're actually doing the move tool and not the rotate tool. So let's zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to move this so that it's sitting next to the other floor joist, which in the case of the first one is the header joist. So I want to put this right up here, right next to this header joist, right where this is. Alongside, in from the edge. Okay, now it needs to, again, the center of this floor joist needs to be 16 inches from the center of this one. Since they're each 2 inches thick, the actual distance between them is going to be 14 inches. 16 minus 1 minus 1. So I'm going to take this joist and start to move it over and type in 14, quotation mark, 14 inches, enter. And control move, create another floor joist that's right alongside of that, and then move that. When we move, we don't want to control move, we just want to move. Start to move it, type in 14 inches, enter. And I'm going to continue to do that all the way across the floor. So that's going to take a little time, so I'll just pause this video while I do that. Now, I've made all of my copies. When I got to the far end, I found that I needed to position one more floor joist, but there would not be 14 inches between that and the header joist on the other side. That's okay. It's better to have a shorter span than a longer span. So now I have that row of floor joists in place. They're not quite long enough to reach my center. I'll deal with that in a few minutes, but before I do that, what I want to do is go ahead and put copies of those on the other side, reaching toward the center from the other side. And since we're not construction workers, we can take a shortcut. You can simply select these individual boards by holding the Shift key down. You can select all of them. And with me as I do this. If you select from the center area, it's a little easier because there's nothing else to be in your way. Now, ordinarily, we could group these and let them work together. So that's what we're going to do. After we've selected all of these, we're going to group them. Make group. And then we can move them as a group across, just using the control move. Going all the way across until they reach the other side and sit on the other side's sill plate. As you're getting close, if you're not lining it up with the sill plate easily, you may have to orbit so that you can see better. Again, just move it into position. You want these to sit on the sill plate. They move on you. Again, you need to make sure that everything's lined up. Just go back. They need to be perfectly lined up with the other ones, so we can go to top view and make sure that they do line up with the other ones that we've had. Straight across. Alright, once you've made sure that they line up, now we need to add an extra board in between, connecting this piece to that piece. I know that in SketchUp you could just do a push-pull, but we're going to pretend that we're construction workers and we're going to actually add another board. And we would do that simply by using the control move and then trimming our boards down. I will pause the video while I do that. Okay, now you can see that I have floor joists going all the way across the entire span of the house. And they are supported by my center beam. Once again, I remind you that in real life, there would be some hardware that would be attaching these things together. We are just creating a model to show sort of how the process works. So, your model should look something like this. And you have your header joist, you have your sill plate, and then you have your floor joists, your individual floor joists that are 14 inches apart from edge to edge, but 16 inches apart from center to center. That concludes this video clip.